You want Melodious? Fine. How about 2 Melodious? Melodious versus Melodious. Double the Melo. Now, what can Melodious do against a card like Nibiru? Does it play well under Nibiru? If you within 5 summons get to summon your Fusion Itoli, the main boss monster, you could banish your whole field to come back during the end phase like a Little Knight to dodge the Nibiru. That is going to be your main play that you want to do. Let's see. We're going to Soprano, fuse with the Sonata, and the Frame Gear Gamma is going to negate as the Ash Blossom negates the negate. Thus, we then add on top of that an Impermanence negate. Now, the Diva Sonata is a level 3, so we can't make Baguska in pass, which I think we very much would have wanted to do. We could Little Knight if we play it, which we do have Baguska, but we do have Little Knight also, which we just chose to not do. All right, that's fine. We have the Refrain, which is the main 1-card combo play. Imperm, negate, Refrain. Now what? Okay, well, that's the card we want to be searching for, so we'll be searching our deck for a fusion spell. How are we fusing? This allows you to fuse with your Pendulum Scales. Yup, fuse it up into Bacha. Bacha on Fusion Summon is going to special summon a monster from the deck, and then we have the Refrain and Couplet on Fusion Summon will set themselves as Pendulum Scales. Imperm is going to negate. Now, what happens when Bacha is negated? Bacha has another effect. If sent to the grave in any way whatsoever, it's going to trigger to reborn a monster from the grave. So do we have a way to do that? We're going to Babu, send from the deck to the grave a Shapina. We are super boosted, 3,900, take out Soprano, just end our turn and pass right back to you. We do have Veiler activatable here. Top deck Maxi, obviously super bricked here. This is not looking good. Off the top of the deck is a level 5. We can't normal summon that, but we're going to be grabbing another Fusion Spell Enabler, send another card from the deck to the grave. We're going to link you off into a Gravity Controller to trigger the effect of the Bacha to grab back from the grave a Shapina. And by grab back, I mean reborning. So special summon Shapina. Shapina will then grab back the Refrain and Grave to then normal summon. How much do we want to do under a Maxi? I don't believe Melodious is known for one-turn killing, so I think we're going to have to make some minimal plays, then pass to the opponent under Maxi after we grab the Refrain. Refrain activate, search our deck for a Soprano. We do have our Pendulum Summon play. We are fusing into the triple Itoli Melodious Magnificat. We're going to trigger both of our Pendulum Scales to replay themselves back onto the field. Now, Couplet, when added, triggers to special summon a monster, right? Special summon a level 4 or lower Melodious from your hand. What? If this card's added, you could reveal special summon a level 4 or lower. Oh, from your hand or graveyard. I'm like, your hand is no level 4s. You got a 4 in the graveyard, Soprano. Let's go. Come forth. Reborn Soprano. Refrain and Couplet into the back row. As I said, the deck's not really going to be one-turn killing, so if we can at least set up the Itoli, which not only could banish all of our Melodious cards until the end phase, it returns up to an equal amount of cards the opponent controls back to the hand. Now, the cards you're going to returning back to the hand, they do have to be face-up cards, so you can't just end phase, spin back row, then win. Pata D. Couplet, searching our deck here for our Melodious Concerto, which could fuse. We're going to be fusing with our Pendulum Scale, come forth into Bacha. Bacha is here, special summon from the deck, Chain Link block from an Ash Blossom, but the Veiler cannot worry about a Chain Link block. It can be added on top of a chain no matter what. It's targeting the card, not trying to negate the effect. Negate the Bacha. Now we can get Bacha into the graveyard, as we are doing right here, right now, Gravity Controller. So right now you're learning this deck to summon Bacha in the extra monster zone in case you get disrupted. And then you Gravity Controller, trigger the effect, reborn the Soprano. The Concerto is also triggering. We're going to be drawing a card here if a Melodious Fusion is sent to the grave. Get return and draw into the Veil, reborn the Soprano, Soprano on special summon, add from the grave back to the hand. Now, Soprano can only fuse with your field, not your hand. We're going to banish 10 cards off the top of the deck as we now attempt to fuse with the Sonata. The Itoli is going to be able to banish 2 cards to return 2 cards. You can't fuse with the hand, so goodbye to your Fusion Summon play. Gravity Controller into Gravity Controller. Let's get to it. Clap them up. Cannot be used as link material just the turn it is link summoned. Ostinato, one of the most powerful cards in the deck. Only if you control no monsters, it is a branded fusion. Fuse with Melodious monsters from your deck. To summon Shiberta. Shiberta can banish up to 3 cards from either player's graveyard. Soprano is not a hard once per turn on the fusion effect, so on 5 summons, Nibiru is going to tribute up the field on the activation of your fusion summon play. Shiberta, before being tributed off by Nibiru, going to banish 3 cards from either player's graveyard. Goodbye to the field. It is not once per turn. What are you talking about? It is not once per turn. The Soprano, didn't I say that? All right, Test, what do you got, mate? We're going to Valor, negate the Atoli from spinning back that giant token. We're going to call by the grave, finger that Valor, mate. I do not think so. You will be spun back to the hand you go, opening you up for lethal damage at 5,000 life left. The Ostinato is only activatable if you have no monsters, though. But yeah, I guess if you Ash Blossom it, then you could use another copy. So that is a big problem. So where compared to something like Branded Fusion, where you Ash it, they then are not going to be able to use Branded Fusion again. But a second copy of Ostinato, which they do play 3 of, you're then screwed if you Ash the Ostinato. So what do you do? Is it still worth it to Ash it? Probably. Let's hop into game number 2. Pot of P. We want to dig 6 cards deep because this is incredibly meaningful here. We can grab an Ostinato. That would be great. Double Ostinato revealed. And just like that, Ostinato to the hand with no monsters on the field. Branded Fusion. Fuse with the deck. We're going to send a Refrain and a Soprano to summon a Botcha. Botcha will then special summon a monster from the deck, making sure to summon it in the extra monster zone in case it gets disrupted. Summoning the Shapina. Shapina, add back from the grave to our hand. Refrain, we have not even normal summoned yet. Now we have. Refrain is the 1-card combo play, grabbing the Couplet. Couplet is going to be triggering to reborn the Soprano because it was sent there with the Ostinato. So the 1-card Ostinato play. This is a lot more than just normal summoning a Refrain. Concerto fusing right into the Itoli. Itoli is here for the quick effect full field banish until the end phase. Set up our pendulum scales. Now get ready for this. You're not ready. First, we're going to fuse into a Shiberta, and then get ready for the pendulum summon Botcha, reborn from the grave a Soprano. As Soprano on special summon, add the Shapina engraved back to the hand. We have a scale from 1 to 9. We're going to send from the deck to the grave a Diva. As we then pendulum summon onto the field, Shapina add from the grave back to the hand, a special summon that Sonata Diva onto the field. Soprano fusing again into a second copy of Shiberta. Let's break down this field. Double Shiberta is banish 6 cards from either player's graveyard and gain 200 for each card banished. Thus, it can be used in the damage step. It's only once while face up, but you reset her banish effect by banishing her until the end phase with the Atoli. It's just like a Little Knight and a Baron to floor. And in addition to being able to banish 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of our Melodious cards to return up to 5 cards the opponent controls back to the hand, which is non-targeting, we also have the Area. This card states that your Melodious monsters cannot be targeted by card effects and also cannot be destroyed by battle. So this could be incredibly difficult for a Tenpai player to break this field. The biggest counter I would say to this deck is the card in their hand, Droplet. It goes through the non-targeting. It could negate the Atoli, because the Atoli doesn't banish as a cost, it banishes by card effect. So you wait for this to activate, then you Forbidden Droplet it, mate, and then the area's not able to protect it. That's definitely a problem. So let's see if Tess could break this field. Now, beyond the Atoli, we do have Imperm, Ash, and Valor. So if you fully load your deck up with a ton of hand traps, those will definitely be your additional disruptions on top of your unbreakable fields. Ostinato, Ash Blossom negate. So that was definitely good commentary from the chat stating that the Ostinato is not a hard once per turn, like the Branded Fusion. So it's very risky to stop this because they could have a second or third copy in the hand to just follow up and activate. We're going to chain Forbidden Droplet, send 3 cards to the graveyard, so we're going to preemptively negate the Atoli. Now the Atoli has another card effect even though it will now be negated. That effect is if it leaves the field because of an opponent's card, you can special summon a Melodious from your deck or your extra deck. We're going to Valor, negate the Refrain, mate. Now, what is Refrain searching for? For a Couplet. We already have Couplet in the hand. There are so many opportunities to bait negates. Bait on Ostinato with another copy, bait on Refrain when you already have the Couplet. And just like that, we're going to use our Concerto to fuse with our back row monsters into Bacha. Bacha is going to get impermed, unfortunately. We are chain link blocking from an Ash Blossom. Not that we have one, but just understand those chain link blocks here. And because we summoned it in the extra monster zone, we can now send it to the grave with a gravity controller. And by gravity controlling it into the grave, we were reborn from the grave, but is that good enough? Well, we want to wait. We want to refrain, send any card we want from the deck to the grave to make sure we reborn that monster. So now we gravity control. We already committed to our normal summon. Trigger the Bacha, reborn from the grave. Concerto also trigger to draw a card. Soprano is not in a good spot unless we randomly draw into a monster, which we did not. What the heck? Isn't it the play? Aren't you supposed to reborn Shapina and then add back Soprano, then pendulum summon onto the field? Am I correct in that? Can Bacha not reborn Shapina? Target, right? So I think we messed this up. Am I right? Oh, it adds back anyway. It adds back. Okay, they both add back. So they are either going to add back in either way. So this is actually better. This triggers so that you could add back another card. There you go. Correction. Shapina, add back the area. And now we're going to fuse with our field, not into a Nittoli, but a Bloom Diva. This is a Duel Links card. Holy moly. Cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. You take no battle damage from attacks involving this card. If this battles a special summon monster after damage calculation, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the difference between the original attack of that opponent's monster and this card. And if you do, then destroy that opponent's monster. Let's go. You time out? What the? He surrendered. Because. Why did we surrender? We surrendered because I already told you earlier that the Nittoli, if it leaves the field, it's just going to summon another body onto the field from the deck or extra deck. So the ultimate recursion of Nittoli, being able to jump off the field and disrupt, and also when leaving the field, summon another Melodious from the deck or extra deck onto the field, it's too crazy. It's too good. This even being negated by Droplet, which I believe is the main counter to the card, was still able to win the duel. 1-1. What the hell? Well, the Soprano, if it's not special summon, it doesn't add from the grave. There's nothing in the grave. If it's normal summon, it does nothing. It fuses only with your field. Cartesia could fuse with your hand or field. This is just your field. So had we had another Melodious that could be special summoned alongside the Soprano, we would have been okay. But the idea is, if my Melodious deck bricks, we should still have a ton of non-engine hand traps, like, you know, Called by the Grave, not a hand trap, but it is non-engine. We do have Gamma, we do have Draw and Lockbird, so maybe this could keep us in the duel. Let's go. And our hand also sucks. Yeah, so same issue. We bricked, we don't have a way to fuse, but we have a ton of good non-engine cards. So whether you brick or don't brick, it should be a win-win scenario. Beat down with Sonata? it's like, hey, my fellow Melodious player, I also bricked. Awesome. Ostinato. Ooh, that's a good one. We don't have the Ash Blossom to negate that, and if we did, we had Cyframe Gear Gamma to negate the negate as we summon the Bacha mate. Bacha on summon, special summon from the deck. The Bacha is always getting negated, so the fact that we're putting it into the extra monster zone for the gravity controller, incredible. That is the perfect play. Always summon it in the extra monster zone, and even more powerful than the gravity controller. So the priority in your head would be get into the grave through either the Link 2 Melodious or then the gravity controller. But if you could do it with this summons 2 Melodious from the deck. Now, what does Ogre do against this? Maybe it summons the Melodious to where it's pointing to, then it would not be able to summon them at all if we pop it. Let's read it. Discard a card, special summon 2 Melodious with different levels to your zones this card points to. So Ogre stops the Link 2 double special summon. Thank you, the game sound, appreciate you. Let's go. Discard the Gamma, trigger the Bacha. You chain link blocked. You blocked it up, mate. You blocked the Ogre with the Bacha. Bacha on chain link 2 being sent to the grave, reborn from the grave. So you're blocking normally from an Ash Blossom, not an Ogre, but the Ogre was going to stop it. That's a big freaking deal. Now, of course, we had Call by the Grave for all of that. Call by the Grave, Finger the Max C. Let's freaking do it. Wow. So if you want to mix up Melodious with another deck, understand that the Link 2, you're locked into Melodious only. And it's not for the rest of the turn, it's the turn you activate this effect. So even if you were to special summon before the Link 2, you then can't Link 2. We're now going to Soprano trigger, add from the graveyard, Reframe trigger, search our deck, add back the Shapina. We already committed to our normal summon as we grab the Couplet. Couplet could trigger to summon a level 4 or lower from the hand or from the grave. Couplet's going to then search for nothing as the Ghost Ogre destroys. MST negate. Now with the Couplet in the extra monster zone, extra monster deck that is, you just have to perform a fusion summon. And that will trigger the Couplet in the Reframe to set themselves back up into your Pendulum Scales. Very easily done, just like that. You have 6,300 damage on the field. Reframe, but boost up our monster 3,900 Pendulum Shokan into a full field of 12,000 damage. Add from the grave back to the hand. Shiberta could boost up by an additional 600 damage, and just like that, lethal damage. Very well done. We also have the Sonata, but boosting up the field. Hey, what are you doing? What was that? Huh? Oh, what was that? What was that? What are you? Is that BM? Was that BM? Chat. Was that needed? If a Melodious this attacks, your opponent can... Oh, you did... All right, you didn't BM. Your opponent cannot activate cards or effects until the end of the damage step if what it's pointing to declares an attack. That is nuts. Because it summons the monsters in defense, so initially those monsters, of course, will not be able to attack, but if you fuse with them, get them off the field, make room for the zone, summon a big body into where it's pointing to, and then they cannot activate anything. Very well done. Wow, good job. Let's watch Supreme King Melodious versus Shining Sarc. We are going to be going second. The Tide That Binds special summons 2 bodies from the deck. That's a pretty cool effect. We're going to Chain Maxi, cross out Designate, negate the Maxi. We could follow up with Gamma on an important play. What's that important play going to be? We have a ton of non-engine as we make our 1-card play. And just like that, we are going to get negated by the Gamma, but the Triple Tactics talent could draw 2 cards, which we have not performed our normal summon yet. So I'm thinking that's what we do. We pop off after the Triple Tactics talent. Let's do it. Come to us, draw 2 into even more non-engine. Wow. We have 4 disruptions in the hand. Imperm, Ogre, Ash, and Nibiru. Shining Sarc. I don't think this deck summons 5 times, does it? Cannot be destroyed by monster effects, mate. No. Let's go. Nothing. It's okay, no one reads Shining Sarc. We're gonna grab the Gadget Trio. Gadget Trio is going to get Imperm negated. Negate. Now the Tie That Bind is gonna be the big play to negate with the Ash Blossom, but the turn Silence, I think, negates the Ash, right? Summon 2 monsters from the deck, turn Silence. Negate by boosting up the gadget's level by 3, but if you activate it in response to a monster effect, negate it. Holy moly, now we gotta be paying attention to that Nibiru. 3 counters here. Not enough for lethal, so what exactly is this field if we were to end our turn? Because the Tie That Bind locks us out of using the extra monster deck. We can't summon from the extra deck whatsoever, but the Silent Magician 0 can negate a spell, and the Silent Swordsman 0 can negate an effect that would target any of your cards on the field that's a Shining Sarc card. So negate a target, negate a spell. Essentially our 2 disruptions are the negate a spell and negate with Ash, but that was enough just like that. Let's hop into game number 2. And you gotta remember, Melodious isn't just a deck, it's an engine. So maybe we could be tossing it into another deck to make that become a new top tier deck, like Snake Eye Melodious being a very powerful deck. We have Maxi being activated now to play around the Gamma. Ash Blossom negate the Maxi as the Botcha. Not summoned in the extra monster zone here. Maybe we don't play Gravity Controller. Exceed the Pendulum, adding an extra deck monster to our hand back. Special summoning it onto the field if it's within the Pendulum Scales to now make our Apollo USA double monster negate. So right now we have triple disruption. We have negate anything, and now we have another Omni negate. Negate anything, negate anything, negate and negate. So we have 4 disruptions, mate. We're going to get the Drew Swarm out early to make a Chaos Angel? No. We're going to make a IP Masquerena. Masquerena into the double Little Knight Banish, so that's going to be even more disruptions. We have 6 disruptions plus a Max C. Let's go. Are you ready? Start this off with a Pot of E. It's got to be our first play in the main phase 1. Banish 6 cards randomly into Max C. Draw per special summon. Morisaki, you are super screwed, my friend. I am so sorry. We get that draw into the D-Shifter, which is dead. Imperm, forcing the negate of the Borlo Dragon. Negate. 5 disruptions left, with one of them being an Omni Negate. Gadget Trio activating to search our deck. Apollo USA. Negate. Now down to Quadra Disruption. Now, the problem here is one of the main outs to a Masquerena and Apollo is the battle phase. And we know through Ubel that they've been protecting them, but there's no protection here. We could simply ballot up, Gadget Trio 1300, force out the Masquerena. Masquerena did not get used, so we just lost all that disruption. From 4 disruption, we're now down to 2. Apollo and the Omni Negate from the Vortex Dragon. So now we're going to follow up with the Shining Sarc. So here's a situation. Cannot be destroyed by monster effects. I'm going to get to the point here, all right? This states, negate the activation and destroy that card. It was never on the field if it gets negated by the activation. So technically, it is on the field. So if you have a card that says if you control Shining Sarc, like for example, let's say you had, wait, Turn Silence works here. That's my point. Oh my gosh. You have to have a Shining Sarc on the field and a monster that mentions it and chain it to a monster effect to negate it. So even though we're negating the activation as if it were never on the field, it's still considered to be on the field for a card like Turn Silence. Oh, let's go. Negate. It's actually going through. I cannot believe it. Wow, negating the activation, negate your effect to negate the activation. Dark Magician of Black Magic, not negated by the Goddess, searching with the Shining Sarc for the Gandora G. Negating the Gandora G. Of course, I think so. That is what we would want to negate. So what we're left with is we really want Dark Magician to be destroyed by the Gandora G, which was about to destroy every card on the field as possible and banish it. Now, is the special summon a hard once per turn? Could only use each of the following of Gandora G once per turn. We attempted a special summon. We cannot attempt it again. What are we doing here? This is a Typhon Plan D. All right, nice. Typhon, the give up play. Up, and we got Ogred, but it's still going to spin back. Could spin back the Borload or the Vortex. Let's now speed this up. Typhon, the most important effect of Typhon is you cannot summon for the rest of your turn. That's all you need to know about it. So essentially, I end my turn. Let's get Pendulum Summoning. Pendulum from the extra deck, none from the hand here as we search our deck. Ooh, Psychic and Punisher, get ready to get punished and pay 1,000. Goodbye to the Gadget Trio. To battle phase we go, boost 11,000 damage as we hop into game number 3. I'm very glad you're able to see the Turn Silence situation where, you know, we continually say if a card's activation is negated, it's not considered to be on the field, but it actually is considered to be on the field. But once the activation was negated, then it's not considered to be on the field. Let's go to game 3. Gadget Trio searching our deck. Max C against Shining Sarc. If they're not playing Horse, then Max C is not that big of a deal. Shining Sarc searching for the Dark Magician. Gandora. So I guess this actually turns out to be a big deal now, because what's going to happen is the Dark Magician can't special summon. Gandora is going to be special summoning. Gandora summons from the deck. The Dark Magician re-special summons from the banishment pile. It's a ton of special summoning that's about to happen here. So, oh, we have Turn Silence. Negate Max C. You have to Max C early against Shining Sarc or it gets negated. Wow, Turn Silence, quick play spell, negate any monster effects. Absolutely incredible. Gandora G, no fear of Max C, special summon the Dark Magician, destroy the Dark Magician to then summon from the deck a spell card negate. Dark Magician resummon to set up a full field monster negate, and that's what we have. Spell negates, monsters negate the full field, and impermanence negate. Triple disruption. Let's go. Sound Magician by boosting up here. Foolish Burial. Now, there is a secret disruption, and it's actually going to be relevant right now. What the heck? If your opponent summons from the graveyard, you could discard a spell, then target the monster and send it to the grave. So, okay, reborn from the grave, get back into the grave. Or we're going to imperm instead of using the Shining Sarc. I mean, we could use both if we wanted to. We could trigger it, then chain the impermanence. What else would we use the Shining Sarc effect on? That's quite interesting. Normal summon our Supreme King Dragon Lightworm as we now link this up into an Electromite. Marco had a good game 3. Okay, I may look into that. Destined Rivals. Negate the full field of monsters. Only what's currently on the field. It's not further negating newly summoned monsters, which has ended the turn. After we negated a Maxi on our very first turn, Destined Rivals, cleaning this up, grabbing a Gadget Trio from the deck. Droll Knockbird's going to stop the Gadget Trio from further adding from the deck. 6,300 damage on the field. Would it have been correct to Gandora G the field? I guess you lose your Silent Magicians and your Silent Swordsman. The Dark Magician comes back, but then doesn't the Gandora G become bigger for every banished card? I guess it would not have been lethal. And on Masquerena Pass, we have Magna Hunt, which could force out the activation of Masquerena by just entering the battle phase. So Silent Magician by boost, we can negate a spell. Silent Swordsman further by boosting. This is them saying that they want to enter the battle phase. So we are going to be activating Masquerena in response to you saying that you want to do that. Let's Little Knight on summon. Banish, the Magna Hut, protect the Silent Magician 0, negate the Dragon Shrine. And now what we're left with is a Melodious Concerto to fusion summon using your hand, field, or pendulum zones. Of course, we have nothing. With 3,500 damage on the field, lethal damage with the Silent Magician for game. Damn. Damn.